Firearms safety is vital to effective analysis of weapons and cartridges found at a crime scene, while also preserving the well-being of all ballistics experts and scientists throughout the process. Experts are expected to always treat the gun with caution, as if it is always loaded, and never point it at another person. This is to ensure the gun cannot be fired and cause serious injury or casualties, and is also good general practice for firearms safety. The gun should be unloaded as soon as possible to prevent the likelihood of injury, and it should never be left unattended while actively loaded. It is also general practice to hold the gun without touching the trigger whatsoever, as there could be faults with the trigger, and even the manual and passive safeties of the gun which could lead to life-threatening injuries if improperly discharged. These rules must be followed at all times to ensure the well-being of all firearms personnel and officers transporting the weapon to the laboratory and firing ranges to be accurately and safely tested. Upon arrival at the laboratory, firearms have already gone through various safety checks before transportation. Regardless, safety must be ensured upon receipt of all firearms, and firearm officers will also perform rigorous checks before the gun ammunition can be tested. The firearms officer will transport the gun to a gun range to perform tests. Firstly, it is best to visually assess the gun, preferably before removing it from the packaging. This is to ensure the gun doesn't explode upon unveiling, and whether ammunition is still present in the chamber. The gun may also be pointed into the range itself, away from people and other items to prevent a potentially lethal discharge. All ammunition must be removed from the gun in the case of automatic and semi-automatic firearms. The magazines must be removed and secured along with the live cartridges. As with a revolver, the cylinder must be ejected and all cartridges removed, which includes expelled cartridges as well. Finally, the chamber of the firearms must be checked to ensure no debris lies dormant in the chamber, which could potentially be expelled and cause serious injury to inspecting officers and scientists. During the examination process, the health and safety regulations and procedures are still rigorous, and law enforcement can't afford to run the risk of lax safety etiquette of firearms handling. Most importantly, never place your finger on the trigger, even when it is believed to be unloaded, as it may be weakened or adapted, which could result in its discharging and potentially harming others. During the loading-unloading process, the muzzle should not be directed toward another officer, and everyone must be made aware when the weapon is loaded, and before firing. Only when the firearms expert has cleared the weapon as safe will the examination process begin. Even in the beginning, processes of forensic research such as collecting trace evidence should be limited to specific firearm examination areas and with limited personnel present, which helps reduce the likelihood of injury should the weapon discharge accidentally. All forensics handling firearms must have training to ensure they're competent to do so without putting others at risk. During firing tests of firearms, eyewear must be worn to ensure no debris backfires and potentially blinds the officers. Moreover, firearms emit hot gases which may also cause damage to the officer's eyes. Other personnel must be aware of firearm testing being underway, and an additional ballistics expert should be present. Another important piece of protective equipment officers wear during the firing process would be ear defenders or ear plugs, as firearms are very loud, especially in enclosed environments, which will help to maintain adequate hearing health. Not to mention the vapors emitted with the firing of guns, measures are taken to ensure areas are appropriately ventilated and exposure is controlled. Blood testing must be taken yearly to ensure staff health and prosperity. Prolonged lead exposure can result in severe health complications and possibly death. Some of the many health issues ballistic experts may face due to prolonged lead exposure could be anemia, infertility, and vitamin D deficiency,